Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a really stealthy but serious challenge facing millions of people over 60, atherosclerosis. Think of it like the silent thief. This plaque buildup, well, the sources make it pretty clear, doesn't just sneak up, it actively robs seniors of vitality, energy, and independence. But our mission today isn't just about highlighting the threat, it's about building a shield.
That's exactly right. For those over 60, this internal process, where LDL cholesterol oxidizes and triggers plaque, narrowing arteries, sparking clots, it's probably the biggest threat to longevity. It's fundamentally an inflammatory process. And that's key because it's something we can actually influence quite dramatically.
So we're not hunting for some kind of silver bullet here. We're looking for more of a natural fortress. Our deep dive today is into the Mediterranean diet. It kind of marries that ancient wisdom with really rigorous modern science. We've got a fantastic stack of sources lined up, everything from, cutting-edge nutrigenomics looking right at gene expression to the big clinical trials like PREDIMED, plus practical senior-specific tips on how to actually do this.
Yeah, the goal really is to give you a shortcut to understanding the protective power of this diet. So to start, let's maybe simplify the enemy. Atherosclerosis. People hear high cholesterol all the time, right? But what's the actual connection between, say, a high number and the real danger, the inflammation?
That's a crucial distinction, isn't it? I mean, if LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol, just circulates peacefully, maybe it's not the immediate threat. The trouble really starts when it gets oxidized, often because of high levels of free radicals. That oxidation, that's what sets off the whole inflammatory cascade. The body sees the oxidized LDL as an invader, tries to wall it off, and that process creates the plaque.
Right. And this is exactly where the Mediterranean diet's first line of defense kicks in, what we might call the antioxidant arsenal. The diet isn't just about managing cholesterol levels, it actually changes the environment inside your body, the environment that allows that harmful oxidation to happen in the first place.
Okay, so what specific compounds are we talking about here? What's doing the heavy lifting to stop that LDL from oxidizing?
We're talking primarily about polyphenols. You find them abundantly in good quality extra virgin olive oil and lots of colorful fruits and vegetables. Specifically, names like hydroxytyrosol and quercetin pop up a lot in the research. They're like these tiny molecular superheroes. They basically neutralize those free radicals before they can damage the LDL. A 2022 review really hammers home how critical this is because these compounds directly inhibit something called endothelial dysfunction.
Endothelial dysfunction. Can you break that down simply for us? What does that mean for our arteries?
Absolutely. Think of the endothelium as the super smooth, sort of non-stick lining inside your arteries. Teflon-like, almost. It's meant to be perfect, slippery. Dysfunction is when that lining gets damaged, sticky, permeable. It lets cholesterol and plaques start to grab hold and build up. So preserving that lining means protecting the health of your entire circulatory system. And for seniors, that translates directly to better energy, clearer thinking, cognitive sharpness.
That makes total sense. Stop the damage before it even starts. Okay, so that's antioxidants, but what about the fats we eat? We need to move beyond antioxidants and look at fat quality, right?
Yes, this is a really crucial pivot in understanding the diet. The quality of the fat you eat matters infinitely more than just the total quantity. We're talking about monounsaturated fats, MUFAs, primarily from olive oil, and omega-3 fatty acids from things like fatty fish, salmon, for instance. These fats perform this profound double duty. They help lower the problematic LDL, yes, but they also boost high-density lipoprotein, HDL, the good cholesterol.
Ah, HDL, the hero cholesterol. That's the one that actually helps clear plaque away, isn't it?
It's the ultimate scavenger, the recycler. And what's really fascinating, research shows the MUFAs specifically target those small, dense LDL particles. Those are the really nasty ones, the ones most likely to burrow into the artery wall and cause trouble. So this whole eating pattern effectively enhances what scientists call reverse cholesterol transport. Basically, it helps your body cart the bad stuff out.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, digging into the newer science. The role of our gut, the gut microbiota. We often forget that what we eat is feeding more than just us, isn't it? It's feeding trillions of bacteria, too.
Exactly. And the fiber, huge amounts of fiber in this diet, from legumes, whole grains, vegetables, is basically food for beneficial gut bacteria. And when these good bugs eat that fiber, they produce these amazing compounds called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. Butyrate is probably the most well-studied one.
And the sources are showing how these SCFAs produced in the gut actually shield the arteries themselves.
They absolutely do. SCFAs act like natural anti-inflammatories circulating through your body. They travel from the gut into the bloodstream. and they essentially send signals telling the body's inflammatory system to calm down. They can even downregulate genes involved in vascular inflammation. It's an incredible system of defense that literally starts in your digestive tract. Powerful anti-aging stuff.
Wow. And then finally, this protective shield extends to helping the arteries relax, protecting the endothelium that way too.
Yes, exactly, through boosting nitric oxide, or NO. Certain veggies rich in nitrates, like spinach and beets, especially when combined with the effects of olive oil, really ramp up NO production. Nitric oxide is your body's natural artery relaxer. It promotes vasodilation, widening the blood vessels. This directly helps lower blood pressure, which we know is a major risk factor for seniors, and it fights plaque progression at the same time. It's a win-win.
It's all quite compelling how it works on a molecular level. But, okay, the critical question. Does it actually work in the real world? When thousands of people try this for years, what happens? We need that concrete evidence from the big trials.
And for that, we turn immediately to the gold standard, the PREDIMED trial. It's a landmark study. They took over 7,000 high-risk individuals in Spain and compared those following a Mediterranean diet. One group got extra olive oil, another got extra nuts against the standard low-fat controlled diet. They followed them for about 5 years.
And the results were, well, they were stunning, weren't they? Something like a 30% reduction just from diet.
A 30% reduction, yes. In major cardiovascular events, that means heart attacks, strokes. It's a remarkable figure, often comparable to the effect of some medications.
That's just astonishing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's why PREDIMED remains such a benchmark. Beyond the event reduction, they also saw that the progression of a key plaque marker significantly slowed down in the mediate groups.
You mentioned a specific marker they measured, carotid intima media thickness, CIMT. Can you explain for the listener what measuring CIMT actually tells us?
Sure. CIMT is basically an ultrasound measurement of the thickness of the inner two layers of the wall of your carotid artery, the big artery in your neck. If that wall is getting thicker over time, it's generally a sign of plaque buildup and artery hardening atherosclerosis in action. PREDIMED showed the mediate actually slowed down the rate at which that wall was thickening. It was like slowing down the aging process within the arteries.
And this isn't just a short-term fix. Other studies show long-term benefits too, right? Like compounding interest for your heart health.
Exactly. One trajectory study tracked people for 20 years. It found that for every 1-point improvement someone made on their Mediterranean diet score, their risk of cardiovascular disease dropped by about 8%. And interestingly, some data suggest the benefits might even be amplified for women over 60.
And we have even newer data, right? From 2024, the ILERVIS cohort.
Yes, the ILERVIS prospective cohort. They followed adults from midlife into their later years. What they found was that those with high Mediterranean diet scores showed about 22% slower progression of subclinical atherosclerosis, the kind you don't necessarily feel yet, measured by things like CIMT and another test called the ankle brachial index.
And didn't ILERVIS give us that one really specific, actionable number about olive oil intake?
They did, and it's quite striking. That study found that consuming more than 4 tablespoons of olive oil per week was correlated with about an 18% lower plaque volume. That's a significant return for one single enjoyable ingredient.
This brings up a really critical question I bet many listeners are thinking right now. Okay, great, but I'm already in my 60s, maybe 70s. I haven't been eating this way for 20 years. Is it too late for me?
That's a common concern. But the research provides a pretty clear answer. No, it's definitely not too late. While one study did note that starting in your 40s or 50s predicted maybe a 25% lower risk later on, it also showed that late adopters, people starting the diet after age 60, still gained significant protection, around 12% lower risk. The moment you start making these positive changes, your arteries begin to benefit.
So the consistent thread through all these trials seems to be this clear dose-response relationship. The more you adhere, the better the outcome.
Precisely. Across dozens of studies, higher adherence scores consistently correlate with somewhere in the range of a 20 to 30% reduction in inflammatory markers and plaque predictors, like C-reactive protein. It's a dietary pattern that really rewards your effort, even incremental effort.
Okay, so let's pivot now. We've seen the science, the trials. Let's bring this right into your kitchen. What does this all mean for your next grocery trip, your next meal? How do we make this practical, maybe even seamless, especially considering challenges seniors might face, like prep time or digestibility?
Right, practical application. A good starting point is maybe a quick self-assessment. You can find simple Mediterranean diet score quizzes online, usually 0 to 9 points. The sources suggest aiming for a score of 6 or higher. That's the zone associated with that significant, roughly 20% plaque protection we've been talking about. Then focus on the core pillars.
Okay, pillar one, the star player, olive oil. What's the magic number again, and what's the biggest mistake people tend to make?
The target, based on studies like Ilervis and others showing benefits for LDL oxidation, seems to be around 4 tablespoons of high-quality extra virgin olive oil daily. The biggest mistake. Frying with it at high heat, that heat can destroy those delicate, beneficial polyphenols we talked about earlier. So the best way is to drizzle it generously. Over salads, cooked vegetables, fish, stews. Use it as a finishing oil to preserve its power.
Got it. Drizzle, don't sizzle too high. Pillar 2, fish. The Ilervis data linked twice-weekly servings to about a 15% cut in progression. Best choices for seniors, especially if worried about mercury.
Yeah, the goal is those omega-3s. If mercury is a concern, the advice is generally to opt for smaller, oily fish. Think wild salmon, often lower in contaminants than farm sardines, anchovies, mackerel. They pack that omega-3 punch with generally lower mercury risk.
Okay. Pillar 3, veggies and fruits. We hear half your plate, but that can feel like a lot. What if chewing or texture is an issue? Any workarounds from the sources?
That's a really practical point. The power in veggies like spinach and beets comes partly from nitrates and antioxidants. You don't always have to eat them raw in huge salads. Soft cooking them, maybe steaming spinach, roasting beets until they're tender makes them much easier to chew and digest, and you still get a lot of the benefit. And don't forget berries. Daily berries, even a small amount, showed up in some studies linked to maybe a 20% improvement in endothelial stress markers, likely thanks to compounds like quercetin, easy to add to yogurt or oatmeal.
Good tips. And pillar 4, nuts and whole grains. We know almonds have that MUFA magic, and whole grains like quinoa give you fiber that cuts inflammation. Any tips for digestibility here?
Absolutely. If nuts are tough on your digestion or teeth, a simple trick is soaking them overnight in water. It softens them and seems to improve digestibility for many people. And with grains, really prioritize whole grains. Not just whole wheat bread, but actual intact grains like oats, quinoa, barley, farro. That's where you get that powerful fiber duo working for your gut health and lowering inflammation.
We have to touch on the wine question. It's often highlighted, maybe even romanticized, as part of the Mediterranean lifestyle. What's the real take?
It's true. In traditional settings, moderate red wine intake, maybe about 5 ounces a day, is sometimes associated with benefits, potentially linked to activating anti-aging pathways involving sirtuins. However, and this is crucial, it is absolutely optional. The core benefits of the diet come overwhelmingly from the olive oil, the fish, the produce, the nuts, the legumes. If alcohol is not advisable for you, perhaps due to medications or other health conditions, you can get similar beneficial compounds like resveratrol from things like dark grape juice. The alcohol itself is not essential to the diet's success.
Right, so the overall picture isn't about strict, bland restriction at all. It feels more like intuitive abundance, focusing on adding these beneficial foods. But very important reminder here, always talk to your doctor before making big changes to your diet, especially if you have existing conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, or if you're taking medications like statins or blood thinners.
Absolutely essential advice.
Why?
Because the core benefit we've really unpacked today is how this way of eating can act almost like a legacy of resilience for your later years.
Right.
We're seeing consistent evidence pointing towards a potential 20 to 30% reduction in the burden of these cardiovascular issues for seniors, achieved through, frankly, joyful and delicious eating.
It frames aging differently, doesn't it? It suggests you're not just passively enduring the process. You're actively choosing how you evolve, how you claim your energy. I mean, the ultimate goal here isn't just avoiding a heart attack. It's shifting your focus from worrying about health issues to actually having the energy and vitality to stay active, engaged, independent, present for the people and activities that bring you joy. That feeling, that's the real payoff.
Exactly. So maybe don't get bogged down to the percentages or the chemistry right now. Just think about one simple, sustainable change you could perhaps make tonight or this week. Could you swap butter for olive oil when you cook veggies? Could you add a handful of berries to your breakfast? Could you have fish one extra time this week? That single, simple action, that's where building your fortress begins. Remember, you're not just surviving, you are sovereign over your own health saga. What's one step you can take today to claim that sovereignty?